The highway was empty, a black ribbon cutting through the Nevada desert. Midnight had passed hours ago, but Dale still had another 100 miles to go before he'd pull into the truck stop and grab a few hours of sleep. The only sound in his cab was the low hum of his diesel engine and the faint static from the radio. He hated silence on the road. It made the night stretch out forever. Made him feel like he was driving through the middle of nowhere with nothing but the darkness pressing against the windows. So he flipped through stations, chasing music or talk shows, anything to keep him awake. But that night, every channel was either dead static or fading signals, except one. At first it sounded like more static, but buried inside was a faint voice. A woman's voice. "Help, please, can anyone hear me?" Dale frowned and leaned closer, turning the knob slightly. The signal sharpened, coming in on frequency 103.6. The voice was clearer now, trembling, frantic. "I'm trapped. I don't know where I am. If you hear this, please don't turn off the radio." Dale froze. His hand hovered over the knob, but something in the woman's tone stopped him from switching away. It wasn't like a prank or some late-night drama. She sounded real, terrified. Static crackled, then her voice returned. "They said no one would find me. They said my voice would be lost forever in here, but you can hear me, right? Please tell me you can hear me." Dale cleared his throat, even though he knew she couldn't hear him. "Yeah, I hear you," he muttered to the empty cab. For a long moment, there was nothing but silence. Then sudden, sharp, the woman whispered, "Good, then it's already too late." The radio screeched with static, and the broadcast cut out. Dale sat rigid in his seat, heart hammering against his ribs. Maybe it was some pirate radio station or a performance piece. People did weird things on the airwaves late at night. He told himself that over and over. But when he reached for the dial, the station was gone. Only static again. He shook his head, muttered, "Jesus, Dale, you need sleep," and kept driving. By the time he pulled into the truck stop at 3 en masse, he had almost convinced himself he'd imagined the whole thing. The next night, somewhere on a lonely stretch of Arizona highway, it happened again. 103.6 crackled to life with the same trembling voice. This time, the woman was crying. "They've taken the lights away. It's dark all the time. I can't breathe, right? Please, whoever you are, don't stop listening." I think it only works when someone's tuned in. Dale felt a chill crawl up his arms. He turned the volume down, debating whether to ignore it. But curiosity got the better of him. "Where are you?" he asked, voice trembling. He knew it was stupid. He was talking to a radio signal, but something deep inside him needed to ask. For a moment, only static. Then she whispered, "I don't know, but I can hear you." Dale's stomach dropped. He yanked the volume knob down to 0, breathing hard, staring at the glowing green numbers of his dashboard. This was impossible. It had to be. The radio was still silent, the cab heavy with darkness. And then, without him touching a thing, the volume knob turned itself. The woman's voice filled the cab. "I told you not to turn me off." Dale slammed his fist against the power switch. The radio went dead, no sound, but in the sudden silence, he heard it. A faint whisper, not from the speakers, no, from behind his seat. "Don't leave me alone again." Dale didn't sleep much that night. He parked his rig in the far corner of the truck stop lot, locked the doors, and sat there with the engine off, staring at the dark radio panel like it might start talking again. He told himself he imagined the whisper. It wasn't real, just the road messing with his head. But when the sun came up, the feeling didn't go away. He kept glancing in his rearview mirror, half expecting to see someone crouched in the sleeper cab behind him. The day passed in a blur. By nightfall, he was back on the highway, hauling another load east. His hands trembled on the wheel, his throat dry. He promised himself he wouldn't touch the dial tonight, No more strange voices, no more creepy signals. But just past midnight, the radio turned itself on. A sharp burst of static filled the cab, making him flinch. His hand stayed on the wheel, white-knuckled. Slowly, the static faded and her voice returned, weak and distant. "You came back." Dale's stomach twisted. "I didn't come back," he muttered. "I didn't. You're listening. That means you came back." Her voice was clearer now, like she was closer to the microphone, or whatever she was using to speak. "Please," she whispered, "don't let it go silent. If it goes silent, I lose everything." The dark comes closer. Dale shook his head. "Lady, I don't know who you are or what kind of sick joke this is, but I want nothing to do with it. Do you understand me? Nothing." Silence. For a long, suffocating minute, there was nothing but the hiss of static. Dale almost reached to turn the knob, but then the voice returned angrier now, sharp enough to cut through his bones. "You don't get to decide. You found me. That means you're mine now." The hairs on Dale's arms stood up. His mouth went dry. "What the hell are you?" A pause. Then softly, almost sweetly, "I was like you, once." The next hours blurred together. Dale drove with the radio buzzing beside him, afraid to touch it, afraid to shut it off. Every few minutes, her voice returned, telling him fragments of a story. They said they were scientists, that it was an experiment, to trap a voice between frequencies, to see if consciousness could live in the static. They left me here, years, decades, I don't know how long. Her breathing was ragged. "I've been alone for so long. Until you." Dale gritted his teeth. "I don't want this. I don't want any part of this, but you can hear me," she whispered. "That makes you part of me. You can't turn away now." He tried ignoring her, blasting through miles of empty highway with his jaw clenched tight. But every time the static cut off, the cab felt colder. His mirrors fogged. Shadows seemed to shift in the corners of the sleeper. And once, just once, he swore he saw the reflection of a woman's face in the passenger window. Pale, wide eyes, mouth open as if mid-scream. When he whipped his head to look, nothing was there. By the third night, Dale was unraveling. His hands shook constantly, his eyes bloodshot, his voice hoarse from muttering to himself just to drown her out, but she never stopped. The radio clicked on, even when he unplugged it. He tried smashing the speakers with his fists. The sound still came through, soft and mocking, as if she were whispering directly into his skull. "You're getting weaker," she said. "You'll stop fighting soon." Dale screamed at the empty cab. "What do you want from me?" Her answer chilled him more than anything yet. "I want you to trade places." Static roared, loud enough to rattle the glass. Dale swerved, tires screeching, pulling the rig back onto the road. He punched the radio, screaming at it, but the knobs spun on their own. The green digital numbers flickered wildly until they froze again on 103.6. Through the static came her last words that night. "They put me in the frequency. But you," her voice dropped into a guttural growl, layered with something inhuman. "You can set me free." Dale didn't remember pulling over. He just knew he woke up hours later, slumped over the steering wheel, dawn breaking across the desert. The radio was silent. For the first time in days, he thought maybe it was over. Maybe he'd shaken her. But when he opened his glove compartment to grab his logbook, a small slip of paper slid out folded, yellowed, and brittle. Scrawled across it in a jagged, feminine hand were 3 words. "Keep listening, Dale." His stomach dropped. She knew his name. And when he looked back up, the radio dial had already turned itself to 103.6. Dale drove with the slip of paper crumpled in his fist, his knuckles white. His name. She had written his name. He'd never told her, never spoken it out loud while the radio was on. That meant she was deeper than just the frequency she was inside his life now. He thought about throwing the whole rig into a ditch. smashing the radio into pieces, setting fire to the cab. But deep down, he knew it wouldn't matter. Wherever she was, she'd already hooked him. The broadcast returned just past midnight. "Dale," she said softly, almost tender, "I knew you'd come back." His throat tightened. "What do you want from me?" "I told you," she whispered. "Trade places. Let me out. You'll understand once you're here." Like hell, Dale spat. His hand hovered near the power button, even though he knew it was useless. "I'm not gonna be your prison swap." A low chuckle filled the cab, a sound that didn't belong to any human throat. "You already are." The cab went freezing cold. Dale's breath fogged in front of his face. The dashboard lights flickered, the green digits of the radio glowing brighter, pulsing like a heartbeat. The woman's voice filled every corner of the cab. Not just the speakers now behind him, beside him, whispering into his ear. "Do you feel it, Dale? The static in your veins? You've been listening too long. It's inside you now." His head throbbed, an electric buzzing behind his eyes. He slammed the side of his skull with his palm, desperate to shake the feeling loose. But the static only grew louder, a hive of angry wasps crawling through his mind. "Stop," he screamed. "Get out of my head." "You can't stop me," she hissed. "Every second you listen, you fade. Every word I speak, you lose a piece of yourself." The radio dial spun wildly, numbers blurring past, stations bleeding into one another country music, a preacher's sermon. Weather alerts until they all merged into her voice again, multiplied, layered, screaming and whispering at once. "You are mine. You are mine. You are mine." Dale swerved onto the shoulder, slammed the brakes, and scrambled into the sleeper cab. He yanked open his duffel bag, grabbing the tire iron he kept for emergencies. He stumbled back to the front, raised it high, and smashed the radio. Glass shattered, sparks burst, plastic cracked. The radio fell silent, dead and broken. For the first time in days, there was no voice, no static, just silence. Dale collapsed back into the driver's seat, chest heaving, sweat dripping down his temples. He laughed shakily, relief bubbling out of him. "It's over," he whispered. "It's finally," a soft click echoed in the cab. The shattered radio screen lit up. The frequency dial glowed bright green, frozen on 103.6, and the woman's voice, clear as day, spoke behind him. "You can't break what isn't real." Dale spun around, and there she was. She sat in the passenger seat, pale skin glowing in the dashboard light, hair damp as though she'd climbed from water, eyes wide and unblinking. Her lips twisted into a smile that stretched too far across her face. "You brought me through," she whispered. "You listened enough." Dale's chest seized with terror. He scrambled for the door handle, but his fingers wouldn't work numb, tingling with static. He couldn't move. He could only watch as she leaned closer, her voice lowered to a hiss. "Now it's your turn." She pressed her cold hand against his chest. The static roared. Dale's vision blurred, the world dissolving into white noise. His scream choked off as his body stiffened, frozen in place. And then he was gone. The truck was found 3 days later, abandoned on the side of the interstate. Engine running. Headlights still on. The driver's seat was empty. But when the state trooper leaned in to shut off the truck, the broken radio crackled to life. "Help, please. Can anyone hear me?" The trooper frowned, staring at the dial locked on 103.6, and behind the static, a new voice spoke. A man's voice. "Please, don't turn it off." "My name's Dale.